brightest, when the moment is the biggest, you know, how do they perform, right? This team, we know about how good it is, how talented it is, and it was the same thing last series with Dark Zero. I think they had a tougher matchup, right, when we go back to the stage 1 of Ignite, when they played against Ego Death, who is now Odyssey, and then they had to go against Solaris, who is now Rad. So I think they did have a I would say a bit harder of a bracket, I think, last time around. Maybe this time it could be easier for them, but they did lose to a team that should not have beat them, right? And that's just what happened. That's just the past, but the past is the past, and the future of this team lies within the new roster of FlyQuest, who, you know, has picked up a great player in Visions, and, you know, has a new look about them. We'll see how they do in the ban phase. This start results in Mantis ban first for them, Fire Strains counterbans with an Ultron.
Yeah, I mean, this is a consistent banning phase at this point, except for the lock here of Adam, which I think is another incredibly strong strategist right now. But Ultron Mantis, I think, is something that as a community we can get used to seeing at this level of play without a doubt, and definitely topping the numbers. And again, goodbye Mantis.
Yeah, it makes sense. Adam Warlock Protect is interesting. I haven't seen it. We haven't seen Adam Warlock Protect, but we know he's always banned in the top 3. Definitely a hero you want to get rid of in terms of the cooldowns, right? In terms of having, so many reses to bring your team back, as well as infinite healing, basically, because you get charge off your right click and your left click now. The healing output of him is insane alongside damage. Now on the opposite side, Luna Snow Protect comes through for Fire Strays, allowing them to maybe go for a ban here on onto that very same character.
Yeah, and when you have Warlock now, especially with the 80% additional overhealth you have, when you res, you can res far more aggressively, which tends to lead teams to not worry so much about things like Bucky, although if a Bucky's nearby with an ultimate, it's still terrifying as that HP does dwindle away. But, I mean, it just gives you more time to play a little more aggro with those reses, so especially Adams at this level that are just clicking heads left and right. You get those heals back, like you're mentioning, you just on a whim, constantly healing up, getting ults incredibly quickly, and then all these fights that are won by the opposition immediately get turned right around with the big res. So can find a ton of success. I'm curious to see if they're going to lock him in on this first map, or if that was just to kind of have it available if need be. And another strategist lock out of Invis, who is also really strong with this season with that ultimate change, that slow, I think it's 35%. I may need to be corrected on that when you launch that ult, and it is very difficult to move. You can actually use it a little aggro, a little more aggressively instead of just defensively.
And here we have a difference of opinion as well, Ship, right? We have that Hulk ban, coming through, and the Jeff ban at the very end, or Mantis ban at the very end for Fire Strays. So, you know, we talked to on the opposite side of the or earlier in the interview with Dinks. He mentioned how, you know, earlier in the season, earlier in the patch, they were banning out Jeff in practice. Now they've stopped doing that because they realized, okay, we could just sort of combo him when he comes out of the ultimate, you know, play around that, especially with Namor being available. That's a hero that could potentially impact it. As you know, like we said, the difference between letting Hulk go through on the opposite side means that Namor is going to come out in a full strategist line ban on the opposite side. We're headed to Burn and Chala again, Shib. It is random in terms of which domination map it could be. We just conveniently have had 3 Burn and Chalas in a row, but yeah, Hell's Heaven is still available. Krakoa and Celestial Husk are still, you know, in play.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it be like that. You know what I'm saying? It just can work out like that as the teams are setting up. You can see now, going to get those armor packs on the side of Fly, who are prepped for the next fight there with 50 additional HP, using that penny to armor up, and choosing not to do the same, at least not with the penny on the other side of Fire Strays in the portal play off the rip. Will we see a portal kidnap, which is a strategy that's taken a ton of precedent here at this level of play? Yeah, we are going to likely see a kidnap here, looking for someone to walk through towards main, and if they go up on that high side, it's even easier. Oh yeah, it's gonna be big, I think.
Yep, do they block off? Who did they block? Oh, okay, there we go. Vision goes down. But Chip, that's the one person who can res back into the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it does get that cooldown down early, and it gives them a chance to take this fight very fast, which they're trying to do. As you see ZQ here on the Hulk, just playing very aggro, going to drop left and wait for the team. Now the numbers are even back as Vision reses back up towards their side of the fight. They have essentially just changed sides here, which is sometimes what you need to do if you are in a dangerous position. Just reset and refocus on a new side. Magic going to be getting play right now, as you see Super Gomez on the Magic. Gotta love to see that, but down goes Super Gomez as I make that mention. Vision going to turn back and get a pick right after falling early on in the fight, and there we go. It's FlyQuest takes the point. Down goes 2 more.
Yeah, and this is okay. There's two things from that fight. You know, obviously, I think the matchup between Triple Strategist alongside having that of Warlock and you know the Phoenix. It's the classic matchup of overwhelming damage versus overwhelming healing. For Fire Stray, Super Gomez, interestingly enough, his teammate was the one. Amazing, his former teammate, is the Magic player known on that team. So to put him over to Magic is quite interesting. Now he's going over to Wolverine on a pretty long map alongside still having that group. No Invisible Woman on the side, or sorry, there is Invisible Woman on Fire Stray's side, so they're both going to counter each other, except, yeah, you have Invisible Woman to potentially counter that Wolverine that comes in.
Yeah, the goal now is just to try to put a lot of pressure on Groot. Groot really struggles with the world, but yes, the invis push is obviously incredibly helpful. Etsu going to find Vess early on here for Fire, who are going to try to retake 43% already for the side of Fly. Out goes a boundary to try to negate some of these strangling prison. Z-Cube, Xantho going to find two. Cooper going to res back, Spark and Energy. Cooper goes down from Xantho. Etsu, British Tree, Super Gomez, and Cooper going to reset with the team. And at this point, Fire Strays are going to hold on to the point, trying to get back towards FlyQuest as Super Gomez finishes up Zelos.
Yeah, I love that. That was well played by Fire Strays. The walls from British Tree there as FlyQuest copied with their Loki onto that Adam Warlock to make sure that he could resurrect the whole team. But we've seen that over and over again, everybody rezzing down below the point. So because of that, Fire Strays played around it so well. They also have Last Stand available in this upcoming fight, which is always a threat. FlyQuest also do have their very own Resurrect, but they're going to have to kind of, you know, swarm the point right now, sort of as a horde of zombies, FlyQuest, the current moment, as they make their way into the point.
Yeah, we're going to start up again. Ult advantage heavily on the side of Fire. Now going to be matched actually pretty close here with Fly, who do have two ready. ZQ going to launch out with it. Ooh, that's a huge tackle there by Super Gomez. Down goes Zelos, looking towards the Groot. Gets picked out. ZQ finds Cooper. Etsu on Division, though, as Vest takes out Super Gomez. Spark Chief find Etsu. British Tree matching right back into Spark Chief. Vision going to res. Vision back up. Will we see a huge ult? Up goes two with Spark Chief and Cooper. And the fight's going to be retaken once more. And these counts are already looking different than what we've seen in the first two maps. Energy gonna find two, and FlyQuest gonna retake this point.
Yep, big res there by Vision, fell back, and they were able to trade down a couple in the meanwhile, right? Super Gomez going down is the big one, right? Super Gomez, we know him to be a very aggressive guy, just kind of going in there onto the Wolverine. So much pressure from him is enabled for Fire Strays, but, you know, sometimes it could be like fights like that where FlyQuest disengage it, they just walk away, eventually find that pick, and then with the res plus the, you know, disassociation that was happening to you know, Fire Strays with being split up, they're able to come back into the fight with the res and Vision's picks.
Yeah, and I think I got to show some love to Cooper, who I do think used those crystals during that last stand from Super Gomez to just buy enough time, a millisecond of time, for the team to stay healthy enough to rotate together. So that did find some success. We're going to have copy ready for FlyQuest. There is 4 ults ready here for the side of Fly, matched by 3 on Fire Strays. No damage route there. The team is not going to be able to follow through. British Tree got a Strangling Prison, takes out Cooper early. Cooper cannot ult. British Tree with 1. Z-Cube on a Spark Chief now. And Fire Strays are trying to retake the point with 99% on there for FlyQuest. Super Gomez just stalking, terrifying there with that Wolverine on that high side angle. Just going to play inside the invisible boundary. Etsu going to find Energy, though, and that's going to put them up now. Even in numbers, excuse me. Super Gomez playing aggro. Does have that last stand again towards the back line. Gets to his Xantho. Again, Etsu. Z-Cube going to find 3. And Fire Strays are able to take the point 70% on. And FlyQuest got to make something happen in this final fight, but Fire Strays are holding on with slight ult advantage, although in this next fight it should be evened out.
That was a bit of a panic ult there, I think, from Energy in the last fight, where I got pulled in, uses the ult, didn't get the connection onto the passive, onto that strategist who could potentially go down in that Strangling Prison. It was also a yeet of a Strangling Prison from Spark Chief. And then Cooper, he didn't even go for the res eventually, even though he definitely could have in that mid-fight with the copy. It's interesting, but in this upcoming fight, they do have 2 strategist ultimates. Regardless, they're both a bit more defensive and a bit more safe.
And that's an early pick as Spark Chief takes out ZQ. Super Gomez going to match that right back out. We go with the res. Vision going to bring back Cooper and Energy, and that's a big res again by FlyQuest, who are retaking this position. The team of Fire Street is going to reset as if nothing happened and come back in 6v6. Great tackle by Super on a Spark Chief who is low now. Super Gomez tries to find one. Can it happen? A ton of healing goes out. Passive gets burned there for Super Gomez. Way to keep eyes on there from the side of FlyQuest, keeping Spark Chief healthy. Here comes a big strangling prison. Gets 2. Can they get some value? Yes, they do. Super Gomez Res falls up in numbers now is FlyQuest. Sparkchief gonna find British Tree, and that's 2 up. And this is their fight to lose now, folks. Ult advantage out is lying. Is gonna make sure that dance floor is keeping the team healthy. Vess trying to build up that crystal. It doesn't even need to. 1 goes down, 2 goes down, and that should be it for point 1. Well done by FlyQuest, but great fight by Fire Strays.
Yeah, great fight. You know, they put up definitely a good one, and now we're going to Warrior Falls. Regardless, FlyQuest, they enabled the space created by, you know, finding Z-Cube early, and then with the reses, yeah, you use both Stratus ultimates, but you walk up with yet another one. You also take the point, and that is the crucial thing, because once they take that point, overtime ticks down any pick you find onto a potential Doctor Strange portal, which you use, I believe they used theirs earlier with Sparkchief. You know, when you can use it on Fire Stray's side, it's going to happen super late because of the picks you find. Super Gomez onto that 14-second respawn timer with overtime and can't come back to the point fast enough on Doctor Strange. Maybe if it was in overtime, maybe if they still had point control, then they could have came back a little bit faster. Regardless, FlyQuest, you know, doing really well with his Loki combination alongside the Adam Warlock. FlyQuest making use out of their composition. Now we'll see how it works on Warrior Falls up next, where Loki, we know how good this character can be on this specific map. FlyQuest also swap off the Phoenix, going over to that Bucky alongside their composition to maybe get some more resets on the point.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea here. Fire not going to be running that Loki, but Energy, you know, can be very threatening there on the Bucky. But I do think this combination, it's crazy when you look at the stat lines, folks, almost even across the board for both teams. It'd be very difficult to decide who won that from outside of watching this game. Vision going to find Etsu early on, and that is, whoa, okay. So Gomez with a tackle off map 2 on a Vess, and wow, okay, let's see what's going to happen now as both teams are going to try to hold on to the point at this point. Who's going to get the Vision? Vision's going to res right back into Vess, keep them up in numbers, try to get this point early on, which we know is a big advantage. Are committing a ton here, as all we have left is Cooper on the side of FlyQuest. Z-Cube gonna get that ult very shortly for the side of Fire Strays. British Tree ready with the Meteor Rem, and at this point FlyQuest is holding on, and Fire is gonna reset as a team, coming back in with these Qs.
Yeah, and they got to deal with Cooper with the copy and the res. So if you commit ult to this fight, you know, with the Meteor Rem, with that End Song Inferno, they're going to be met by a Resurrect. So it's tough because they want to use maybe force out Shredder's ults early with Z-Cube, set up that combination after the res comes out from that Adam Warlock.
And there goes the Psionic from Z-Cube. We've seen a commitment there. British Tree goes up with the Meteor Rem. Etsu is up as well. That's the combination. Break all shields and land on him as British Tree takes out Zealous in the back line. Etsu onto Energy. Cooper gonna res back both though. And they are keeping this pressure on height. Great res positioning, understanding what was coming. They're getting a ton of ultimates there with that res. That is a great play. Cooper falls off as Super Gomez gets that pick there. And there's a tackle bang onto the front line. And that is not gonna get too much value through the dance floor. Super Gomez finds Vision. I lied. Vision gonna find Xantho though. Numbers are roughly even. Fire Straight just slightly down. Zelos now gonna find Super Gomez. Vision gonna res back up. Vess onto Z-Cube. And wow, FlyQuest still through all of this craziness are holding on.
Well, I wonder how Cooper even fell off the map, but regardless, yeah, Vision's been kind of insane, right? This guy has found pickoffs after pickoffs after pickoffs on the Adam Warlock. You know, I think definitely the best Adam Warlock performance we've seen today, and honestly, it might be one of the best we've seen in a while, just because of how much value he's getting on that hero. They have ultimate advantage in this next fight now because of it. That's the benefit of having high mechanical skill players. You're 82% on the board too with ult advantage. Fire Strays have absolutely nothing and rely basically off hero plays here.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta show love to the Vision's patience on that res. Getting into that position, knowing that they were gonna overcommit ults, not overcommit, but commit a ton of ultimates, and just, you know, I'll just res everybody back, whatever, let it happen. And it worked out incredibly well. FlyQuest still holding on to 4 ults as Vision has that res again. Kraken Impact ready, Psionic ready, Strangling Prison ready. You look over at Fire Strays, who only have this, Boundary, which gets immediately destroyed there by Vision again. Vess gonna find Z-Cube, and at this point, FlyQuest are looking lights out, trying to get onto the point they do. Energy ready with a pull, does get walled off on that zone by Sparkchief. Vess and Energy cleaning them up, and FlyQuest on that map looked absolutely dominant.
Yeah, that's got to be Adam Warlock's best round as well. I mean, Warrior Falls actually is pretty much good everywhere here on Stellar Spaceport, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess they go for the combo, and that's fine because they should theoretically have Last Stand for that resurrection. However, you know, because he's so far away, and because you're Wolverine, and you don't necessarily get to that position as quick as he reses up there, it's going to be hard to actually collapse on the Last Stand. So there was so much value from Adam Warlock being played in that series, and that's why they protected it early on. panned out well for FlyQuest, and now moving forward, that feels pretty good, right? Going for all of these strategist bands, making sure you have your heroes that you definitely need. The Luna Snow also, unfortunately, I mean, yeah, you got a lot of value out of the healing from that dance floor. We saw on the map on round number 1, I think Luna was getting a ton of value, but after that, right, the value in pickoffs from Luna Snow kind of falls off a cliff, especially with how Vision's playing on Adam Warlock when he can just pick you off from across the map. So even better round from FlyQuest on Warrior Falls, and the composition was exactly why.
Yeah, I mean, Vision with 7 final hits matches the most on the opposition, right? So Fire Street's just not able to find too much value through, and honestly, first time we've seen a ton of value out of Loki. I think Loki does a good job. Obviously, Crystal's being an incredibly strong cooldown. 16k healing is still up there. Obviously, triple strategist, when you will divide your healing a bit, as you only see Vision with 11, almost 12k, 25k from Zelos there. But then you go to Xantho and Lying on the opposition, 23 and 31, right? So you do split the healing, which maybe reduces the amount of ults you get off, but it doesn't matter when you have crystals, which are pretty much a way to cancel ults in and of itself, and we saw that finding success into some of these last stands and some of these other big plays.
Yeah, when we get, oh my Jesus, man, oh my God, Vision was so good. I think that, you know what, and that goes to show, I think for Super Gomez has got to be one of the most
Fly versus Fire. Fly taking domination, but we know that domination is not always how it's not always a testament to how good the team is. You get into those push modes, when you get into Convergence and Convoy, things can definitely shake up. And now the map will be chosen by Fire. I think that Adam got so much success that they'll probably ban out Adam, but we've been wrong in the past. So I'm curious what they're going to do. What do you think?
I mean, anything's possible for sure. I think with these new teams as well that we're seeing with how their ban phases go, I mean, it could definitely be unique. I don't know, man. It does feel like I don't know. I could be wrong about this, but if we take a look back at today's game so far, I think every team that has played some form of triple strategist has won, right? Unless it's against triple Vanguard with the Storm or with some of the damage boosts or something like that. So at the current moment, it does feel like like you said, don't ban out the Adam Warlock, don't ban out every character that can do some healing alongside damage, specifically Ultron. It's kind of a loss, right, waiting to happen. And I kind of like the idea behind Nemesis and what Dink said with maybe allowing the Jeff to go through. There's some strategy there where you could maybe pick him off after he comes out of his ult, because there is that sort of window where he's vulnerable, and if he doesn't have the Magneto, you can't save him, right? So there's a lot of different different things you can sort of do to counter the Jeff. Whereas in that case, you talked about it, Jeff, or you talked about it with me previous game, Shib, is that man, every time that the Adam Warlock was in the game, he would just get a free res or a pick-off for Vision.
Yeah, I mean, we're still so early into this level of play. We started seeing developments of strategies
there you go.
Yeah, you're right.
Called it, man. There it is.
Goodbye to the Adam off the rip like that. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this development of play, where triple started even coming into play in the pro scene, halfway through, right? People are still learning things. So I'm sure we'll find some solutions to some of these problems as we develop throughout these next couple of weeks here. But yeah, it definitely seems dominant right now. And yep, goodbye to that Adam, locking in Strange here too.
The Strange lock in to make sure they can portal back, and we've mentioned that before, where that could be a good idea, going for that. Also, Emma Frost going through. I think a lot of viewers, a lot of fans can point out how and they do all the time too. Why are we giving X player Emma Frost? They can be absolutely crazy and hard to deal with. So right now, prioritization towards Vanguards in terms of in terms of Doctor Strange protect for Fire Strays to enable their portal plays, and for FlyQuest side to play Emma Frost. That does hinder the defense a little bit more in terms of coming back to the point, but that also strengthens how FlyQuest mid-fight is going to go, because there's not as much of a Vanguard threat when you don't have to worry about Emma Frost, and instead have to worry about maybe on the attack a Groot without another Vanguard to do a ton of damage, and that maybe forces you into a solo Vanguard, triple duelist sort of situation. So it's interesting to see how the advancement of the meta is going. Ultron bans coming out for both sides, but Adam Warlock ban make sure FlyQuest can't play that hero.
Yeah, I think, you get rid of the Ultron, you get rid of the Warlock, you get rid of the Mantis. At this point, that is a pretty solid ban out, in my opinion, against Fly, making sure they can't have too much success with that triple backline. I think that instead they're going to lock in that Jeff, which, we talk about how Jeff is really good here on Spider Islands, and Emma, which is also really good into Jeff, is just probably why they're not going to ban it. It's another one of those heroes that you just diamond form up and you start wailing on Jeff as soon as he gets out of that location where he grabbed everyone at, and hope you have enough damage to pressure through without even having to commit an ult. Like you're saying, I mean, there's some solutions to the Jeff, although I do think Jeff got a big buff there with that healing pool, enabling a ton of new strategies. But even what we saw last time, using it full healing there from the side of Smash there on defense. So I'm curious, man. I'm curious how this all going to shake out, what they're going to run here instead of triple.
Yeah, and I think that the Jeff protect is definitely interesting. I think it makes sense, but also to not ban it out is quite interesting, because they've instead protect Luna Snow. Also, don't ban out Luna Snow. So, both sides, I think their protects. I don't think they're going a ton of distance in terms of actually doing much besides the first protects. Regardless, we've seen Jeffs, like you said, do well on this map. That's definitely a hero you have to watch out for. On the opposite side, for Fire Strays, they haven't really shown they could even play triple strategist, right? They haven't played it at all, right? It's obviously just one map, and we'll see how they do moving forward. But regardless, that's the only question I have about the Adam Warlock ban, for example, just because of the fact that, or even not banning out the Jeff, is because, yeah, this team hasn't played out triple strategist anyway, so it doesn't really end up mattering, I think, at the end of the day. Maybe they do want to play the Adam Warlock because of what they've seen in the previous map. I know a lot of newer teams are willing to make adaptations like that, where, oh man, this was a hard comp to go against, let's play it. Maybe in that case, they're already preemptively banning it out for FlyQuest. Coming out, though, Shib, we will be seeing Groot alongside Magneto and the Storm in the sky. So there's that damage boost alongside Super Gomez back on Wolverine.
Yeah, we've been seeing that Storm-Wolverine combination, which was not seen nearly as much in Stage 1 of Ignite. Instead, it was more of the, using Punisher or some sort of poke damage alongside the Storm damage boost. So definitely a little bit of an evolution here on the offensive side against Triple as we begin now. You see FlyQuest has the Rocket, Invis, and Loki. So Loki likely going to be copying up there, I would assume, the Invis, but you could see maybe a Rocket copy with the Res. I'm not sure. It all kind of depends how this is shaking out in terms of the momentum, but right now FYR doing a good job sticking together in forcing them already backwards. But as I say, that Vest is going to find Super Gomez early on in the fight. Goodbye to the passive. Here comes the Storm. Hurricane is out. Does pop out the return ultimate, the Sia there from Rocket, and a huge strangling prison. Can they pressure through it? They do not. So great use there by Zelos to keep the team healthy.
Yeah, huge as well to pick off Super Gomez. I think that they're understanding the distance, right? Making sure we're not close to this Wolverine. Sure, he kidnaps one, but he doesn't have the passive. Once he gets pulled in here, Meteor M comes on the backside. Can it find a connection?
Does not. Great shield there. Vest going to go in. There's that Diamond Form to protect. Oh, and there's the Meteor M. Goodbye, Xantho. Vest going to find Super Gomez. And at this point, the defense still holding on tight early on towards the spawn door. Energy going to have to slowly press forward, try to find another pick. Vest doing the same, but they are going to drop back as a unit into the spawn door and set up again. Ult advantage looking slightly on the side of FYR with a huge potential ultimate here from Super Gomez with Wolverine, because they will not have an answer on the backline. Besides those Loki crystals, Cooper did a great job utilizing them last time into the Wolverine. Will it happen again?
Yeah, Vest just lives. They know the Vanguards are the prioritization, right? On the opposite side for FYR Strays, they lose Super Gomez again. You had the Sonic Seduction to slow it down into that strangling prison, and they're just countering ults right now, Shib. It's just clinical out of FlyQuest. You see the Jeff ult, you connect with the Meteor M. Xantho has an ult early. Maybe he can go for it. Maybe with that Storm like you called that earlier, but now you meet the strangling prison in the spawn doors, and it's just brutal.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, this is textbook hold here from the side of FlyQuest. Not even, at the point now where they have to portal back with a minute 40. That's just some really, really good defense. And we're going to see immediately a change in composition. ZQ going to get out on that Moon Knight, which we know how fast Moon Knight can ult up. And the combination there from British Tree with the group is a big threat as Etsu comes in. Energy still going to find ZQ early on in the fight. British Tree and Etsu do find two, though, to put them up. Vision going to res back onto Zelos. Numbers are even now with that res. Etsu very aggro here, could find some success. Oh, great utilization of Jeff to keep the team healthy as they go for a play, but Etsu gonna find energy. Z-Cube onto Cooper, and FYR Strays, excuse me, are finding their footing, and the Strange will come out for the portal play shortly.
Yeah, it took a long time, and that combination of the Jeff and the Storm, like you mentioned, on the backside. Vision did connect, but did eventually get eaten up by FYR Strays' side. They do have Moon Knight Ultimate in the sky alongside British Tree with that Strangling Prison. Those two, the Hand of Khonshu and Strangling Prison, could go off, but that was an early enough fight and a long fight for FlyQuest. If they're able to build up ultimates here, if FYR Strays even gives them a lick of space, I'm worried about what FYR Strays have to go against this upcoming fight, because that could give time for FlyQuest to build ults.
Yeah, I think the idea of not using the portal there is not only is it you bought enough time on the first hold, you don't necessarily need to, but they do have a Wolverine, and going Strange into a Wolverine on that initial teleport is dangerous. So, immediately Super Gomez going to find energy, though. Vest going to turn it right back on to Z-Cube. Super Gomez again onto Vest now, taking out the Vanguard line. Excuse me, Spark Chief just trying to hold. The team going to drop back as a unit. British Tree going to try to cut off that choke, and does do so. Can they escape? Spark Chief in danger, is able to run away. Going to keep walling off the front line. Do not allow those strategists to get eyes on. They're going to have to retake as a unit on the high ground. Here comes Jeff. Will this find success? Waiting it out. Going to buy as much time as humanly possible. And Vision grabs one, I believe. The Hurricane comes out as Vest takes out Lying, walking towards the back line. Vest gets two onto Xantho now. And FlyQuest still holding tight with ult advantage.
I mean, at this point, too, you have no more healing for Etsu in the sky. Energy came back on Star-Lord. Overtime ticks down, and there we go. FlyQuest, they staved off the push from FYR. They also make sure the portal can't come through. It doesn't even matter. Man, what a save there from FlyQuest towards the end. And Spark Chief specifically stalling out the cart for infinite amount of time, Shib. And then eventually coming back on Venom, of all things, too, to kind of end it and go for those dives. Or rather, Vest coming back on Venom to go for that full, commit towards the back line. Really good job job from FlyQuest there to play around a win condition of, we saw Shib in the streets phase in the middle, or sorry, in the middle of that first point, we just see like, you know, 20% on Stratus ults, right? Pretty much every single one on FlyQuest side, but they're able to live long enough. Spark Chief just going back and forth, being so annoying, coming back to his healers, does get walled off, but it didn't matter. Even with the counter division's ultimate, they were able to kind of hold on, buy enough time for Vest to come back through, and then FlyQuest counters out the support, the Stratus ultimates on Fire Stray's side to win the fight.
Yeah, I think it's huge brain for them to also, like we said, not commit on that Strange. It just isn't necessary. It puts you in a risky position against, you know, potentially a last stand coming from a Wolverine who gets pretty much free tackle onto Strange every time. We see Super Gomez here on our first Angie pick of the day. Free finals there from the Wolverine. I'm wondering if that's going to happen here on the defense. It looks like it has to at this point. There's no way they're going to go back and change. So that is going to be our first time getting eyes on Angela, who does have an off map here to the left, and there's some potential for an early full group grab here at the spawn door. That might be what they're going for from Super Gomez.
Yeah, I would like to see it. The cheese maybe in the sky. Where is he? Is there anything above? No. They get past it. Where that little area is where you can get that knockoff, like you said, and wow, okay, they just fall over.
Yeah, Zello's going to find British Tree, a ton of damage out. Etsu going to res British Tree right back, though, as they're still holding on. Super Gomez taking a bunch of damage, but still going to reset with the team. Energy on that Moon Knight. An awesome skin here with the Mecha Moon Knight from What If. That's a really cool series, and an even cooler skin as Energy finds Xantho. British Tree onto Zello's Vision. Now onto British Tree, and FlyQuest is still keeping this moving. Not a lot of time bought there. Very different than what we saw from the defense from Fly, as they are just walking now, and everybody's got to fall.
Yep. I mean, unfortunately for Angela, just about as good of a performance as we've seen out of that hero from every single tournament. Unfortunately, they TP back though. This is the whole point of these comps, get a lot of fights. Now only using that hand of Khonshu might have been enough, and they already got a Etsu. That's one huge potential res coming gone.
Yeah, that's tough if you lose Rocket early like that, like you mentioned with the res. As we see Super Gomez going to pick on the Spark Chief, though, try to even the numbers a little bit. Down goes a Vanguard, down goes a Strategist on either side. Xantho going to copy up, and here we go as Vision very close to the Hurricane. There's that slow I'm talking about, jumping inside of that boundary. Wow. Vision on his Xantho, though, going to shut that down quickly, take the height inside the boundary, and try to duke it out here with Super Gomez in the sky. Gomez is going to find Vision. Spark Chief onto Super Gomez, cleaning that up quickly. I have Agamotto out for British Tree is massive. Can they collapse? That goes one. Zelos gets a single one as ZQ cleans that up, or excuse me, British Tree is the one with the ult there, but well done on the defense. Great eye of Agamotto there.
Yeah, it was huge, but unfortunately they also committed that Rocket Raccoon ultimate, so that will be a huge Stratus ultimate removed. FlyQuest, Friendly Prison ready to go, can get eliminations even through this invisible boundary with a combination alongside that Storm. We'll see what happens at this Friendly Prison for Spark Chief.
Yeah, this is a big combination. You do have Moon Knight ready and available as well. Out goes the Hurricane to likely just buy some time. It did force out some cooldowns early on. So just going to stay safe and use that as a win, forcing out a ton of answer ultimates. And there's that combination, Strangling Prison. Moon Knight, the moon is raiding. Vest going to find ZQ though. And up in the sky, Energy looking for another. Etsu going to res ZQ right back. Super Gomez on Energy. And what a retake there by Fire Strays with a minute 38 on.
Yeah, Super Gomez is actually putting the team on his back right now. Comes back in through. British Tree still here on the card as well. Cooper, though, able to connect onto him. Can anybody else even touch, though, versus Vest on the Emma Frost?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Best with a two-piece right after I had that conversation, showcasing the power of Emma. Cooper with a few picks, too. Yeah, you may have lost a little bit of damage, Loki, but you can still do it, as there are two massive picks in this fight. Still holding on barely here with the Venom. Will it be enough? Using the cooldowns now. Everybody committing ultimates, trying to get rid of the Venom. Goodbye. Vest on a ZQ. That should do it. Oh, and a retouch again from British Tree, but will not be for long enough as FlyQuest take this home 2-0.
Yeah, it was close towards the end. There were some heroical plays from Fire Strays, but they end up falling, and FlyQuest look as about as good as they ever have. I mean, this team, and with some changes, has sort of, you know, gone through the ringer in terms of, you know, stage one, but now coming into this one, they sort of break the curse of going down to the lower brackets early, and I'm sure that's a huge sigh of relief out of that squad to win 2-0, because they deserved it for sure, and this team, I think, is going to be quite the roster to look out for as well.
Yeah, I mean, already curse is broken. Keep going on the top side of the bracket here for the side of Fly, who, like you said, looked really good. I mean, just a ton of success on the defensive side. They looked so committed and composed. Like, you don't panic there. They don't switch over Strange when it's maybe in a disadvantageous position. And then you see them forcing Strange on the backside of Fire because they just had to get back. You know, at that point, they, you know, you have to fully commit with Strange because the whole point was walked, not even the third, you know, the first point of the map. So you need to commit. But yeah, I mean, FlyQuest just looked very composed. And they kept dominating in these fights. We saw some, like you said, big plays from Super Gomez, finding some value in the neutral, but just did not matter. It was just too much of a good defense from the side of Fly.
Yep, and FlyQuest, I think right now in this team, I don't like this team is actually going to be scary. I think moving forward, we'll have to see, you know, how they play against some of the other top teams. And Fire Strays is you know, actually they did have moments, right? Their portal plays were crazy as well. First map, I mean, they could do well when they play around like a Wolverine and stuff, right? Around Super Gomez on Star-Lord. There's some definite ways to move forward. I need to see Fire Strays add in a triple strategist comp, right? That is, at the end of the day, we've not really seen any team that can't play triple strategist win today, right? That just is the facts, right? Unfortunately, at the current moment, just in terms of statistics, the teams that play triple strategist end up winning a lot of the times, and I just want to see them pull it out. Like, I think they definitely can. They have it in their back pocket. We'll see if they can adjust. They take a lot of it takes a lot of teamwork and synergy, but regardless, this team is definitely scary at the current moment. You know, obviously losing out on a couple players in FlyQuest and picking up Visions could end up being a huge shift for them moving forward, because by God, I think Vision was incredible for this team today.
Yeah, I think Vision played great. We saw energy popping off. Vest with 13 finals there on the Emma is, you know, leading finals with Emma. Is the first time we've seen that today. I mean, just especially after losing a few in that final fight, getting 2 immediate KOs there, and then just turning the whole tides of the fight. So well done across the board. We saw a ton of success from virtually everyone on Fly. You know, you could call it a bunch of different people, but man, they just look cohesive. And, you know, it's a team that stayed together with a little bit of an addition there to the comp. So they're confident together, they're composed, and they show it in these maps.
Well, absolutely. And speaking about a composed individual who has been a part of this roster for quite a bit now, we have Energy in the interview today. And I mean, I'm excited to talk to Mr. Energy in a moment. What's going on, boss man? Congratulations on your win. FlyQuest starts the day off, or starts your guys' day off 2-0, man. How you feeling after that win?
Feeling pretty good. Map was quick, easy, so it's a nice swift win.
Yeah, you guys kept, you know, if you ever were lost early on in a fight for some reason, somehow you guys stayed in the fight and found 2 more picks and just turned it right around on them. We saw you guys running a lot of triple strat. My question to you is, do you know of an answer to triple strat, or do you think it just has to be matched?
I think it's the best comp in the game. I'm sure you can win without playing it, but I think it's like by far the best comp in the game. You should just match it.
Touche.
Sounds about right. That's definitely what we've been seeing. And, you know, Energy, I think we could talk about with you guys in FlyQuest, you know, picking up Vision now into the roster. You know, previously you guys have played a lot with Audios. He's still there, obviously, but, you know, with Light going away too. Now you pick up Vision, who, you know, a lot of people mention is definitely one of the best duelists in the game. What's it like to have him as your sort of partner in crime in that duelist role most of the time?
Yeah, it feels really good. Whenever he gets to play DPS, it feels really good to have him be able to back me up. You know, if I'm slacking, he can pick it up. But majority of the game he's on support because that comp is just broken. But he's on the DPS support, so he makes it look good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time we really had eyes on Adam today. As we're looking here at the brackets, I mean, you guys moving forward towards Envy, I was going to ask you, any major teams you have your eyes on? They had mentioned to you, Kaluj had called out Fly and saying, you know, he thinks you guys are going to be probably one of the biggest sets of competition to go against. What are your thoughts on the future, you know, teams of this tournament? Any ones you got your eyes on besides Envy? Or is it Envy?
Nah, I mean, it really is Envy. Envy, I think Dreamland is like a pretty good team. Envy, Dreamland, the obvious Sen and 100 Thieves are not bad. Nemesis is also good. I think Dark Zero was on the come up in scrims. They didn't play too good today, but I still think they can come back and perform.
Oh, for sure. They definitely can. And you know, Energy, obviously a big change for you guys. Not only Vision coming in, but now having legit RC as your guys' coach. And I don't know, can you talk maybe about him coming into the roster as well? What's been the biggest change, maybe having him on the roster, comparing from stage 1 to 2 right now for your guys' team?
Nah, I think he's a really big change for our roster. I think he makes us like not only has he made our comms a lot clearer and more understandable, he fixed our positioning on our maps a lot. There's a lot of times where we like kite into a bad room or a bad spot, and I think he's like the reason for that. So he's a really good addition to the roster.
That's cool. I mean, just following up on that. So what was the direction for the comms cleanup? Is it putting an IGL in, or just making sure that it's less chaotic as a team with open comms?
We already had our IGO kind of just always been Spark, and Cooper has always been our kind of ult tracker, I guess. But I think he's just making everyone like participate more while it's like not making it too loud. Everyone call their own plays, make sure like it's good. I don't know.
Yeah, you're vocal so you can set stuff up. No, that's awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, energy as well for you too. I mean, this is going to be definitely an interesting bracket because, I mean, yeah, like you said, we have to go against Envy, who just made in the midseason a pretty deep run, going to that grand finals. And, obviously you guys just missed out on it last time. What's the biggest thing for you guys right now that you've changed from stage 1 to 2 for your fans? People are wondering why is this FlyQuest different now in stage 2 comparing it to stage 1?
I think legit envision both our roster pickups are like a big reason why we're improving a lot. I think in stage 1 we definitely had the potential to do it. I know the weather had different plans for us, but even then, yeah, I think we're gonna do a lot better this Ignite. Pretty confident going into it, but we're not gonna underestimate any team.
That's awesome. Yeah, boots to the ground. Just, 10 toes down. You guys got it. You stay confident. I think that's the key, right? I mean, the final question I have for you, and I'm sure, Doug, maybe you'll have one more, is just around, anything you want to shout out, any idea of maybe, any advice for somebody who wants to try to essentially come up to your position? Like, how did this work out for you? As I know you're relatively new to the scene and a young guy.
I think connections is definitely the biggest thing in this scene. Play ranked. Don't be toxic. Make people like you, want to play with you. If one day a DPS gets dropped, then you're the next thing. So.
Awesome. No, that's a good call out. Yeah, I think positivity in team comms is huge. Leaves a lasting impact.
Yep.
Well, no, I don't have much more, honestly, for you, Energy, just because, I'm excited to see you guys play up again, and I think it's a good point. Yeah, it's like, especially with so many young kids in the scene too. I'm sure you've seen, Energy, people ruining, burning bridges. You're right. You talk smack about one player on another team, and they're also on one of the best teams that you could potentially join, like you said. So definitely a good mentality to have. Energy, any last shout outs you want to say before we let you go, man?
Shout out my team, friends that I play with, everyone that supports me, especially my family.
All right.
Awesome, man. Appreciate your time as always. Thanks for jumping on with us. A lot of good insights. Thanks, dude.
Thank you. Have a good day.